So, my name is Devan Walhof. I'd like to start with a verse from Galatians, somewhere. Galatians 5, verses 1 and 13. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. And I thought this was just kind of a good summation of kind of as we're leaving graduation, just how we're kind of being freed in a way, and just how we are to live with that freedom. And with this presentation, I just want to reflect on my time at MCS, and it's just a celebration of what God has done in my life, as well as a thanks to those who have taught and supported me. So for my project this year, I decided to get involved with Crossroads Prison Ministries. They're currently helping over 30,000 prisoners in over 19 countries. Us, and then Canada, and then Mexico, and I think South Africa were some of the biggest countries that they are involved in right now, in the prisons in those countries. My first experience with prisoners was last summer working at Churchill Equipment. There'd be these prisoners from the big prison in Deer Lodge. They can work on the farm there, and there's a lot of them that all kind of work together just with the equipment and all the different hay farming and grain they do up there. And there's just these different prisoners always calling for parts, and it's been a joy to be able to talk to them. They're always so cheerful and just happy to be doing their job. And there'd be one guy that he'd always call up and he'd be like, "Hey, this is inmate Evans over at the prison," and he'd always just be happy to talk and happy to just be doing his job. And he'd always be asking about the news, and it was just really interesting to be able to talk to him. So I started the application process this past fall, just kind of learning as much as I could about the program and how I could best be a part of it. So I needed to wait until I was 18 to be accepted. So in December I was accepted, and then I just learned kind of through the training process as much as I could about that, and then began mentoring in January. So with mentoring, prisoners fill out these lessons each week, and it just kind of goes through the different basics of the Bible. There's 3 tiers. The first tier is just real basic knowledge about the Bible, and that was the tier I was in. And then there's also tier 2, which is kind of applying the basics of the Bible to our lives, and that takes, I think, around 3 months. Once they get out of tier 1, they'll go into tier 2, and then after that there's tier 3, and that's they say that's about college level courses. So I think only 3 or 4% of prisoners are in tier 3, and that's the ones that have been in the program for quite a while and are really digging into the Word. So I was just tier 1, so I'd get lessons from prisoners all around the U.S. each week, and there'd be different prisoners each week sending their lessons to me. And in tier 2 and 3, it's one-on-one mentoring, so the same prisoner and the same mentor just send letters back and forth, and that kind of allows for more relationship, I guess, in the writing. For me, is just kind of encouraging. So I would correct their lessons, just kind of give them a few encouraging comments, and then throughout the lesson there'd be kind of more essay type questions, and just kind of write my thoughts to kind of expand on the question that they were trying to answer. And it was a lot of fun to be able to do that, and just kind of guide them in their early walks with the Lord. It's, I think, about every 5 to 6 days that those lessons come in, and then every now and then, for Memorial Day or something else, there'll be a week where all the prisoners have the week off or whatever. So they do these, and then there's also the road maps, which they just have other opportunities each day to read a section of the Bible and just kind of comment on their how they view that section of the Bible and how they can apply it to their lives. So, my time at MCS, I've been going to MCS since kindergarten, and I've really appreciated the sports, community, and education that it has provided. Big thanks to my parents, grandparents, teachers, and friends. I'd just like to mention a few teachers. Mr. Kim, he's been a big part of my decision to pursue a career in engineering, and I've really enjoyed him teaching this year. I've been able to spend about 3 hours a day learning from him between calculus, statistics, and robotics, and he's been a pleasure to work with. Also, Mr. Vander Ark, I had him for English and drafting, and I just really loved his sense of humor and just his teaching ability. And also Mr. Tesla, he's been a great cross-country coach and a great mentor to me, and just a great teacher to have here at this school. Some of my favorite memories have just been state cross-country and state tracks, just in the snow. Been crazy opportunities, but they've been a lot of fun. Also, state basketball tournaments and just everything involved with sports. I've really appreciated here and learned a lot of lessons from those. The next thing is D group service project. This is what we did a couple of years ago. Is our D group went to this lady's house in Belgrade, and it was probably one of the nastiest houses I've ever seen. And she was getting evicted, so we just had to clear out all the junk she didn't want, and we loaded up this whole trailer just to go to the landfill, and it was an eye-opening experience for sure, but something that was just special with my time here, just to be able to get kind of into the community and do some service for that, and just to see how happy she was that we were doing that for her was a great experience. So, hesitate to say this, but high school is kind of like prison in a sense. We're relatively limited in what we can do and what we have responsibility for. And I think this is a good thing because we need this time to learn, and prisoners in the same way just need that time to learn to kind of get their lives together and get their priorities straight, and just have that time to grow in who they are and kind of just be shaped into who they are. So with graduation, we are kind of being set free, and this is kind of similar to how prisoners are being set free from prison. So about 90% of prisoners are set free, so this is something that they can all kind of look forward to, and they're always kind of thinking about what it's like when they're set free. And I really learned a lot about this just through the letters, and here's just 4 things that they really want to be like when they are set free, and this is kind of as we graduate. Number 1 is just bold about the gospel for Christ. For prisoners, Christ is literally the only good thing in their lives in a lot of ways, because their quality of life isn't great in prison, and they really just see how Christ is so important to their lives. And then next thing, building great relationships. Just being a part of a family is something a lot of them really value, and especially through COVID, a lot of them miss their families a lot because they can't visit them at all, and there's just some great advice for us too. And then 3, living in humility with God at the center and not us. That's something a lot of them really see because they've been kind of involved with some stuff before prison, and now in prison they've kind of made that change to where they're living for Christ and not themselves anymore. And that's really just kind of what a lot of them emphasize in their letters is that they've really changed in their lives and how they view their lives. And then the 4th thing is just trusting in God's plan. A lot of them kind of see how prison has helped them come to Christ, and how that was a part of God's plan, and how that's just so important to them. For my future, I plan to major in mechanical engineering at Liberty University, and I'm really excited about the engineering there and the Christian community. And I just want to strive to do those 4 things that the prisoners kind of mentioned as I go out and as I go there, just being bold about the gospel for Christ. I want to continue to kind of maybe be involved in prison ministry. I'm not sure how long I'll continue to do this, but definitely be involved in ministry of some kind, and then building great relationships. I'll need to build new relationships out there, and that'll be really important for me to get involved in the community out there, and also just living in humility with God at the center of my life is going to be very important for me as I leave here. And then lastly, just trusting in God's plan, just that God has a plan for my life, and that He's got a plan for whatever happens, whatever I think will happen might not always happen, but God's got a plan for it. So thank you.